I'm Alex Hagan, and coming up next on WVU News, I'll tell you how a group of international students are coming together to make a change.
I'm Chris Williams, and coming up on WVU News, I'll tell you what some college students are doing when the pressure is too much.
I'm Emily Venerian. Straight ahead on WVU News. If you're a smoker, listen up. You may need to find a new place to light up on campus. Our award-winning WVU News starts now. Tensions in Libya are at an all-time high as protesters continue to revolt against unruly leader Colonel Muammar al-Gaddafi. I'm Emily Veneri.
And straight ahead, we'll tell you how international students at WVU are responding. I'm Alex Hagan, and you're watching WVU News, an award-winning newscast produced by journalism students at West Virginia University.
Former Egyptian leader Hosni Mubarak has stepped down, causing other Middle Eastern countries to rally together. The pressure has now turned towards Libyan leader Muammar al-Gaddafi, as citizens are demanding a change.
That's right, Emily. Over 1,000 people have already died in the conflict as civil war in Libya looms. There are currently 23 Libyan students here at WVU, and I recently found out how a group of international students here in Morgantown are rallying in support of the Libyan protests.
Libyan protesters rallied outside the mountain layer in support of Libya's independence from the current regime. One protester who chose to remain anonymous says the country has a right to fight for democracy.
We have the right to be a democracy country. We have the right to have freedom. We are not afraid.
Libyan leader Muammar al-Gaddafi has been in power for 42 years and is beginning to feel the heat from its citizens. The United States government froze at least $30 billion in Libyan government assets because of Gaddafi's actions. Protester Fadi Mugerbi says it's finally time for the regime to end.
I hope this brings democracy and liberty for our country. We have been under the regime for a long time.
With former Egyptian President Hosni Mubarak stepping down, other nations like Libya are beginning to stand up with peaceful protests like the rally that happened right here.
We are not afraid.
Officials say Gaddafi's forces are clashing with the demonstrators, and the death toll has topped 1,000 because the Libyan leader has ordered his backers to shoot into the crowds of innocent protesters.
I have family. I'm worried about them, but I trust God. We are right.
With the Libyan revolution gaining support, officials say it is only a matter of time before Gaddafi is forced to step down.
The United States government says they are prepared to offer assistance to Libyans seeking to overthrow the regime of Muammar al-Gaddafi. As the death toll in Libya continues to climb, here at home, statistics show that college students are considering suicide more than ever.
Sadly, that's true, Alex. So what can you do to get help if you're feeling depressed? WVU News reporter Chris Williams joins us now with some advice. Chris?
Thanks, Alex and Emily. An estimated 18 million students deal with mental health issues on college campuses nationwide. Suicide is a very serious issue in our society. Unfortunately, sometimes suicide prevention doesn't get the attention that it deserves. College life can be very stressful, and suicide is the second leading cause of death of students ages 20 to 24. I found out some tips for students who might be feeling depressed. College students have a lot on their plate. Trying to keep up with everything pushes some students to their breaking point. WVU junior Kevin Diffley says sometimes he needs help to deal with all the stress.
Well, from time to time I take Adderall. It helps me relieve stress, especially when I need to get something done for a big project or a paper. It calms me down and helps me focus.
15% of college students take Adderall that is not prescribed to them, but sometimes that's not enough. A few weeks ago, a WVU student attempted suicide in a fraternity house here on campus. Research says suicide is becoming more common among college students. Director of Suicide Prevention at Valley Healthcare, Bob Musick, says many students feel overwhelmed.
It doesn't care about how much money you have, your status in life. Depression will grab you and it will kill you, and it's killing our kids.
Musick says 11% of college students consider suicide.
If this was a medical problem, that it would be called, people would address it much greater than what they do now.
Suicide is the second leading cause of death in West Virginia among young people ages 15 to 24, with about 13 suicides per 100,000 people. Musick says that suicide scares him, especially when it comes to kids.
And it's killing our kids. which scares me that these kids don't become young adults.
Definitely understands why some college students are leaning towards suicide.
You know, it has to do with stress. A lot of times kids can't handle everything and it all comes crashing down at them at one time.
Music says it's important to recognize the signs of suicide, which are talking about suicide, staying in your room all the time, and not going to class anymore. Music says that if you notice any of these signs from anyone, get them help. If you are feeling stressed out or depressed and are having suicidal thoughts, you can visit the Carew Center for counseling. You can also call the National Suicide Prevention Hotline. The number is at the bottom of your screen.
While college life can be stressful for young adults, another task that causes a lot of people stress every year is doing their taxes. Tax season is underway, and many people are looking for a place to help them with their taxes. Every Saturday from now until April 18th, students from the Business and Economics building will be doing taxes for students and members of the local community. Last year, WVU students helped more than 100 people prepare their taxes. Anyone who makes less than $49,000 is eligible to have their taxes done through the Tax Assistance Program.
While residents feel the pressure to get their taxes done on time, some 30% of West Virginians will light up a cigarette to deal with the stress. 3,000 non-smokers die each year from secondhand smoke. I recently attended an open forum here in Morgantown to find out what changes task force members are looking to make to the smoking policy here at WVU. West Virginia University has created a task force to look into the current smoking policy at WVU. This policy has not been amended since 1990 and is not enforced. Chair of the task force, C.B. Wilson, says he hopes smokers and non-smokers compromise.
We've tried not to use the word enforcement as much as it is the idea of people being willing to be part of this project.
Both smokers and non-smokers came to an open forum to discuss ideas for the new policy. President of Tobacco Free Mountaineers, Brandon Beacom, hopes that a smoke-free campus will set the stage for a healthier West Virginia.
It's just a battle that we have, and it's the same way here in this university. And so I believe that if WVU becomes tobacco-free, then basically we'll be the pioneer for the state to become healthier.
Other changes that could potentially be added to a policy is that people need to be 20 feet from a university entrance before they light up their cigarette. Student Jennifer Hall agrees that compromises need to be made.
There's a lot of people who smoke, so maybe we should try to be more accommodating for those people and still be respectful of those who don't smoke.
The task force's intentions are not necessarily to make the campus smoke-free, but to make it a better environment for both smokers and non-smokers. The task force is still seeking information to make decisions on the new policy. Comments are welcomed at the address at the bottom of your screen.
While some people choose to smoke cigarettes to relieve stress, others are turning to a new alternative to calm their nerves.
That's right, Alex. Although marijuana is illegal in the United States, over 83 million Americans admit to having tried it at least once in their lifetime. Now some have turned to a legal alternative to marijuana that is sweeping the nation. WVU News reporter Austin Sanders has more on this story. Austin?
Thanks, Alex and Emily. Smoking pot has been a part of the American counterculture for decades, and now there is a new legal substance that is taking the place of marijuana. I found out how this new legal drug could be affecting your kids and if it's here to stay. Morgantown residents and WVU students are getting high on an emerging drug called K2 that is causing hallucinations, vomiting, and other dangerous effects. WVU student Al Lynch thinks that using K2 is a safe alternative than using illegal drugs.
I heard about it from a buddy of mine who's in the military. He said he uses it and it doesn't show up on any drug tests and, you know, it's legal.
K2 is a mix of natural herbs and spice plants and has been sold since 2006 for about $20 a gram in smoke shops. The K2 website states that it is not intended for human consumption, but that doesn't stop some college students from using it. And WVU Police Chief Bob Roberts thinks that people should not be putting things into their body they know nothing about.
I really think that that's a risk young people should not take. You know, there's people who have wound up with temporary paralysis, memory loss, and other issues with this and wound up in emergency rooms. So it's not a safe thing, and there are risks associated with it.
K2 is a synthetic form of marijuana, also known as potpourri or incense, and some people compare the effects of K2 to that of marijuana. And right now, the drug is legal right here in the Mountain State. As of right now, K2 is currently illegal in Kansas, Kentucky, Georgia, Arkansas, and Alabama. As of right now, the state legislature is trying to get K2 banned in the Mountain State. So far, one person has died from smoking K2. Other possible negative side effects include dizziness, vomiting, and hallucinations. Alex and Emily, back to you.
Thanks, Austin. I don't know about you, Emily, but it seems to me that the negative effects of K2 really outweigh the positives.
I'm going to have to agree with you on that one, Alex. But coming up next on WVU News, we'll tell you how the women's basketball team senior night ended up. Find out if the 5 seniors were able to go out with a bang in their final home game at the Coliseum.
WVU, West Virginia's window to the world.
The Mountaineer women's basketball team began the season while winning their first 16 games. After star forward Medina Ali began to play through a stress fracture in her leg, the team began to struggle when winning 6 of their final 14 games.
That's right, Alex. The team finished with a record of 22-8 in the regular season. While West Virginia lost in the second round of the Big East tournament, now the Mountaineers will have to wait for the NCAA selection committee to decide if they are tournament worthy. But for 5 seniors, that wait is especially painful. Joining us now is WVU sports reporter Alex Wiederspiel for a recap of West Virginia's final home game over St. John's. Alex?
Thanks, guys. The Mountaineers finished their star-crossed regular season with a 69-49 home win over the St. John's Red Storm on senior night. West Virginia honored 5 seniors who have brought the program to new heights over the last 4 years. Fans have grown to love these senior Mountaineer basketball players. They suited up and played on the Coliseum floor for likely the final time in their respective careers. One night and one win sent these seniors off in style. Liz Rapella, Sarah Miles, Medina Ali, Corinne Campbell, and Vanessa House have each spent time on the bench and on the court during their careers at WVU. This time together has turned the team into a family.
I made family here, and I mean, these are like my sisters.
After a 69-49 win on senior night, Coach Carey was proud and reflective in his press conference.
You know, I'm proud of them, and I would have told them after the game I'm still proud of them, win or lose. So, you know, I just think it's a great group, and, you know, I just can hope to have another group like this.
The foundation of this senior class begins in 2008 with Liz Rapella and Sarah Miles. Head coach Mike Carey calls this the greatest class he's ever coached on either the men's or women's side. Now with a chance to go to the NCAA tournament, these girls have a chance to enshrine themselves in West Virginia history the way Jerry West once did on the men's side. These girls have just one shot left as a group before they must say goodbye. But Corinne Campbell anticipates many reunions between these good friends.
Liz, Medina, Sarah, Vanessa, we're definitely going to have a reunion more than once.
These Mountaineers may not be national champions, but Morgantown will never forget them. West Virginia will learn their postseason fate on Monday, March 14th, a day best known as Selection Monday. Alex and Emily, back to you.
Thanks, Alex. It's nice to see that the seniors were able to go out in style. It seems like they really enjoyed themselves. Well, that's going to do it for this week for WVU News. Remember to visit us online at itunes.wvu.edu. I'm Alex Hagan.
And I'm Emily Veneri. You can also watch any of our shows on YouTube. The address is at the bottom of your screen. Thanks for watching WVU News.